Hey everybody, and welcome to the Yoga by Candace YouTube channel. Really excited to see you back here. We're going to be doing a balancing sequence. This is going to be excellent for people who are recovering from something like a sprained ankle or some sort of foot injury where you just feel like there's a little bit of instability through the ankle. A lot of times when you've sprained an ankle or you've sustained some sort of ankle injury or foot injury and you feel like your balance is thrown off, we sort of have to kind of retrain the foot to balance better, and we have to check in on our proprioception. So proprioception is the body's awareness of where it is in space. So all of these exercises are going to help you with this. All you're going to need is a yoga mat, so you can go ahead and grab it, hop on your mat, and we'll begin. So standing tall, take your feet about hip distance or so. Look down at your feet and just make sure your feet are even, because sometimes the right foot or the left foot tends to be a little bit more in front. What happens when you stand in that position is that one side of your hip will be sort of anteriorly rotated forward, and that can throw off the SI joint and cause some back pain. So it's really important that the feet, if you were to draw a line across the very top right in front of the feet, that the big toes or your longest toe would touch that line. So make sure that your feet are even. Make sure that your feet are hip distance. So a lot of times people stand a little too far apart. What happens when you do that is that your hips kind of shift forward and you dump your weight into your low back. You tend to lose the lumbar curve. So definitely want to be hip distance. If you're not sure what hip distance is, take your fists, find the hip points, then go slightly down and inward, and that's essentially like the head of your femur, where it is, back in there a bit, and just take your feet that same distance. So look down and take your feet that same distance. Then bring a tiny, tiny bend to your knees. So tiny that if you were looking at your body from the side in a mirror, you wouldn't really see much. This is the tiny bend I'm talking about. And what this tends to do is it helps to fire on your hamstrings and glutes, because a lot of times people will stand very straight with their knees locked out, and then they get hyperextension through the hamstrings. We don't want that. So definitely have a little tiny micro bend of your knees. Roll your shoulders back and allow your arms to hang naturally by your side. And then from here, just close your eyes. We'll take a couple deep breaths in and out. And notice what happens when you close your eyes. Do you feel your body shift and sway? Do you feel a little bit of instability, or do you feel pretty stable here? And check in with the weight distribution of the feet. A lot of times, the weight distribution is a little too far forward, so if you want to open your eyes and just look, a lot of times people put the weight in the front of their feet like this, and what tends to happen is you get essentially a diagonal line through your legs, and we don't want that because it asks the front part of the legs to work a whole lot, and they're not really designed to work all of the time. The prime movers are the glutes and the hamstrings, so shift your weight back a bit if that's the case for you, so that your hips, knees, and ankles are all stacked on top of one another. Then check in with your weight distribution across both feet. So keeping your eyes closed here, just notice if you're putting a little more weight on the left side, and then go ahead and just put a little bit more weight on the left side, and notice that you sort of lean over to one side. And then go over to the other side, most of the weight in the right foot, and then bring your weight forward towards the front of the feet, and bring your weight backwards towards the back of the feet. And then see if you can kind of create a circle through the top of your head. So imagine that there's a marker coming out of the top of your head, and you're drawing a circle with that marker going in one direction. Keep your eyes closed here and see what happens. And then go in the opposite direction. So we're working here on our sense of proprioception, our body's ability to know where it is in space. And you might notice that as you go in one direction and you have most of your weight on one foot, you feel a little bit more unstable. And then see if you can come to the complete center and find your way into stillness. And then I want you to imagine that the air enters your body, not through your nose, but through the bottoms of your feet. And bring your awareness to the bottoms of your feet so that as you breathe in, you can follow the breath all the way up through the legs. You notice a gentle lift through your chest as you breathe in, and the head reaches up towards the sky. And you feel like you've gained an inch or two of height. And then as you exhale, relax your shoulders away from your ears, but keep that height. Think about the shoulders being gently relaxed into the back pockets of your pants. And notice that as you find that sensation, you feel a very gentle stretching openness through the chest. And the arms hang very long. You feel strong here and stable and balanced. Then from here, bring your hands to your hips. We'll begin to shift our weight over to the left foot. And you can open your eyes now. Come up onto your right big toe and see if you can bring your right knee out in front of you slowly, flexing the right foot, little micro bend of this standing leg. Remember, a little micro bend is going to help to fire on your glutes and hamstring muscles so that you feel really stable here. Now, as you're here, just check in with your hands. We want those hands even with the hips. Sometimes one hip tends to droop. And if that's the case, then you know that that side of your body, the glute medius, is a little weak. So you may want to work on that if you notice that one side tends to droop. Now, if you're feeling really stable here, see what happens when you close one eye. And notice if that impacts your body's sense of balance. And then see if you can switch eyes. So close the other eye, open the one that was just closed. Woo! And if you wobble, if you fall, no big deal. And then see what happens just for fun, close both eyes. If you need to take your arms out to the side, no big deal. Woo, this is really challenging the little muscles in the bottoms of your feet. And then open up your eyes and release. Now, here's the most important thing. Shake it out. Those muscles are really working. We have the psoas working to lift and flex that hip. We had all of the little muscles on the bottom of the standing leg foot working. And then we have your core working. So anytime you're working on that balance, that kind of wiggle and movement, that's your core trying to stabilize you. So it's really important to do these balancing moves, even though I know it feels kind of like precarious to be up on one foot with your eyes closed, but it's a great way to challenge your core. So let's work on it again on the other side. You're going to place that foot down. Remember, little micro bend of that standing leg. And then bring your hands to your hips as you begin to rise up, flexing that foot. Using your core and your psoas to lift and flex the hip. And just notice how you feel here. Notice if one hand wants to kind of go lower, if one hip wants to droop, then you know that the glute medius is a little weakened, and you'd want to work that out with things like banded clamshells or banded lateral steps. Whew, and just see what the bottom of your foot feels like. So I'll tell you a little story. I sprained this ankle that I'm on right now a few years ago, and I never rehabbed it properly because I didn't have very good health insurance, which is always really fun. And so I really struggle to be on one foot because even after all these years, I still haven't, it's not totally healed. So I really feel the bottom of the foot kind of like, it's not a full-on cramp, but these little muscles on the bottom of my foot really feel like they're working. All right, let's see what happens when we close one eye. Notice your core working. Then go ahead and see if you can close the other and open the one that was just closed. Woo! I feel a little cramp in that leg. You can always come out of it, shake it off, and then get right back into it if you like. And then notice what happens when you close both eyes. How do you do? Do you wobble a whole lot? Is there minimal shaking? How does it compare to the other side? Press into the footprint of that foot. That'll help you to be grounded here. Great job. And then open up. Whew. And shake it out. So just take a deep breath in. Deep breath out. Let's do that with the arms. Inhale, lift the arms up overhead. And exhale, arms by your side. Great job. So from here, we're going to go into tree pose. So bring your foot either underneath your knee or above your knee, just not on the knee joint. And then check in with your hips, making sure hips are even. We don't want one hip higher than the other. You're going to engage the leg muscles, but remember to have a micro bend of that knee, and that will help you to keep the glutes, glute medius, glute max, and the hamstring muscles working for you. I want you to visualize a footprint in the sand and see if you can press into that footprint of the planted leg. And if you're not sure what that means, I've got a really great IGTV video for you to watch, and I'll put that link in the description so you can understand what footprint means to press into that footprint. Let's try this tree pose once again. One eye closes. And then switch eyes. And then go ahead and close both eyes. You may need to take your hands apart to stabilize. Then open up. We'll make it a little more unstable because that's how we work on the balance. So begin to move your arms up and down. And then move them front and back. And then move them sort of wildly everywhere, front, back, all around. Make it weird. Don't be afraid. All the best things are a little bit weird. And this is going to really help you improve your sense of balance. You're like a tree pose in the wind. So add a little wind here, and you can move your torso a bit, forward, backward, side to side, just like we kind of were at the beginning, making those circles. Or you can think of like one of those big blow-up things that they put outside car sales offices, like one of those giant looking Gumby things. Woo! And then when you're ready, gently release that foot and shake the standing leg out. Whew. It looks so silly, but it's actually quite hard to do. All right, let's try it again over on the other side. So coming into tree pose once again. Now before you go into it, just spread those toes, plant them down, and then get into it. That'll give you a little bit wider of a base. And the more space your foot covers, the more stable you'll be. As you press your foot into your thigh, make sure to push back with those leg muscles. So fire these muscles on, then a little micro bend of the standing leg. Your hands can come to center in a prayer position, or Anjali Mudra as we call it. And then go ahead and close one eye. We don't have to do this for a very long time, but it's like just enough when you switch up the stability of the pose. That's what really tests your sense of balance. So go ahead and switch to the other eye. And then see what happens when you decide to switch and close both eyes. Be careful here. You may need to take your hands apart to help with your balance, and that's totally cool. Then go ahead and open your eyes and add some movement with your arms. Now, like I told you, this is my weakened side. And we all usually will have one side that's a little more challenging than the other. Bring the arms out in front and then out back behind you. And I think it's kind of nice to have, well, the nice thing about having one side that's a little weaker than the other is that you become a little bit more aware of your body. And you can just know, like, okay, my right side is my weaker side, but I'm going to work on it and try to even it out. And the thing about the body is it's so resilient. So just stick with it and do these movements. If you're weak on one side, you're going to spend a little bit longer on that one side than the other. All right, let's add some movement with the torso. So go ahead and bring the torso forward, to the side, woo, to the back, and to the other side, making those circles. Oh, I'm feeling a little bit of cramping in the bottom of my foot. It's not enough to make me want to come out of it, though, so I'm going to stick with it. But you listen to your body. And then when you're ready, gently release and shake that leg out. Whew, great job. Okay, from here, what I'd like for you to do is once again, find hip distance. Look down at your feet. Lift all 10 toes. Spread them as wide as you can. And if you're noticing that a couple of the toes, or maybe both feet even, all the toes, are not really spreading, just bend your knees, reach down and spread them as wide as you can, and then plant them down on the ground. Great. Now from here, rise up onto those toes and slowly lower. Arms can come out in front as you rise up, slowly lower. I'll just turn to the side. Rise up, slowly lower, rise up, slowly lower. Keep up with this. We'll go 10. A little faster now. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5 more, 4 more, 3, and 2 more, and 1. Awesome. What we'll do now is we'll come over to the wall and press the ball of your foot into the wall along with all 5 toes. So it's mostly the very top of the ball of the foot, so not dead on, but just right before it starts. And all 5 toes are going to press in. Now take your hands to the wall. Come up onto your back foot, onto your tiptoes, and press in a bit. Get a nice stretch. And then gently release, and we'll rise back up into it. Nice. And then let's switch sides. So bring your right foot back. All 5 toes on the wall. Come up onto your right tiptoes as you lean in. Get a good stretch there. And then gently release. Come back out of it. Rise back up. Lean in. Gently release. Rise back up. Lean in, breathe some space into the calf area. And then we'll gently release and come back. What we'll do now is have a seat on the mat and take your hands. We'll lift one leg, so it doesn't matter. We're going to do both, so no worries. Lift one foot onto your thigh. Interlace your fingers in between all 5 toes and give it a little circle here. We'll go in one direction and then the other. Moving slow and mindfully and just checking in to see how the ankle feels. And then go in the other direction. Nice. Then we'll do the same thing on the other side. So release that foot, take it over to the other side, interlace the fingers in between all 5 of those toes and gently beginning to circle it around. Now the body is like so amazing. It never ceases to amaze me. What I can feel as I do this is I almost feel at the end of that rotation, I can feel it in my hip muscles. So I know that there is definitely some tightness going on. And it's important to be aware of that because then you know, like, if my hip is feeling tight, maybe it's not so much my hip, but something through my leg muscles that is causing this. So it's really important to be aware of what you're feeling as you move your leg around. Great. All right, from here, we'll go back to that original foot. Take the thumbs into the arch of the foot and just one at a time, just kind of kneading through it. Oftentimes we stuff our feet into socks and shoes, and so the little muscles of the feet atrophy. So it's important to give yourself a little foot massage when you can, or if you have a small like mobility ball, and just rolling over that with your foot can help to release any tightness. Then take your thumb and index finger to the big toe, give it a squeeze and a simultaneous pull. We'll do the same thing on the next toe and the next toe, the 4th toe, and the 5th toe. Then put that foot down on the ground and find, using your 4 fingers here, so not the thumb, but find your shin and then go just slightly outward. So we're on the side that the ankle is on. You find the shin and then go slightly outward. We're going to go all the way down this muscle. This is your anterior tibialis. You can use your thumb if you'd like towards the end there, towards the bottom. Just notice if there's any real tightness that you find as you go through. And if you do, really work it in. You can kind of vigorously go back and forth through it just to help release that muscle. Then what I like to do is take your hand into a fist and slowly begin to go upward from the ankle area. So I go right slightly in front of the center of the ankle, go upward, and then directly above the ankle, and then directly above, like just behind the ankle. All through the side of the lower leg. These muscles are your peroneals, and it helps to release the tightness. And if you're somebody who tends to walk with your feet turned out to the side, this is a really helpful thing to do because oftentimes those people have very tight peroneal muscles. Let's take it over to the other side. So we'll start with the thumbs in the arch of the foot and just go one at a time here. I know it's really bright out, so I'm really hopeful that you can see this video. And just notice if you feel like many more knots on this side versus the other. Just be aware of what you feel in your body. I think sometimes we're so outwardly focused on, other things that we have going on that we're not even really aware of how we feel. So use this time to deepen your relationship with yourself and better understand how you're doing and how you're feeling. We'll do the same thing that we did on the other side. So take your index finger and your thumb, gently squeeze the big toe and gently pull it out. Same thing with the next. Same thing with the next. Same thing with the next. Last one on the pinky toe. Good. And then set the foot down. Let's turn so you can see a bit better. You'll take your 4 fingers, find your shin, and then just go slightly to the left of that if you're on the left foot. And you'll feel that anterior tibialis muscle that runs alongside the shin. I like to use my thumb once I get towards the mid shin and down towards the lower portion of the shin. Just keep going through it. And notice if there's tightness in one particular area of the muscle or the entire muscle or no part of the muscle. So for me, I don't really feel it too much when I get a little bit lower, but I really feel it at the top here. And all of that gives you information as to what's going on with your body. It's really fascinating because I'm pushing right here towards the top of my shin, and I can feel it radiating down through here, and then I can also feel it slightly up through here. It's just amazing. It's a really great lesson that the body truly is totally connected. Whew. Now, if you find a tender spot like I'm finding, just hold it there and work on releasing that part of the muscle, right? Because if you don't feel it somewhere, you don't want to stay on that spot. There's no point. But if you do feel it somewhere, stay in that spot to really give it time to release. Every muscle has what's called a Golgi tendon organ, and the Golgi tendon organ is what really kind of needs to be jump-started. And so when you hold it on a tight muscle for at least 30 seconds, it's like jump-starting the muscle and allowing it to relax. All right, now we will create a fist and use the knuckles to go upward across the peroneals. Nice. Just notice if one part of the peroneals is tighter than the other. the whole thing sort of tight. And see what sort of information your body is telling you. It's always nice to go towards the heart when you do these little self-massage moves. All right. And now we'll go back to the right foot and just placing your foot on the ground but relaxing this muscle, the calf muscle here. Take your, I'm using my index fingers and my middle fingers, and I'm just gonna go just above the Achilles tendon, below the calf muscle, and slowly work my way up. Whew. And you may find some tenderness through here. Once you get up to the calf muscle, you can go sort of out to the side of the calf muscle. And I do these like very small circles. And let's start again. Down from the bottom, just above the Achilles. And just gently press in. So I do right hand, then left, right, then left, right, then left. And then I create little circles. And once you approach the calf muscle, go out to the side a bit. Great. And let's do the other leg. So left leg comes down. Remember, you're going to kind of keep this muscle very loose. Fingers come down just above the Achilles, either side. And see, this is interesting. So whereas on the other side, I really felt tenderness, I feel almost nothing here. And that tells me that that right foot still has some problems from years ago when I sprained it. Remember, when you get up to the calf muscle, you can go out to the side a bit, create some circles, and then start again down from the bottom. Continuing to slowly work your way up, approaching the calf muscle here, going out to the side, little mini circles. Nice. And then gently release. From here, coming to a comfortable seated position, let your hands relax on your legs. Go ahead and close your eyes. And we'll just take 3 deep breaths in and out. Relaxing the space between the eyebrows, corners of the eyes, corners of the mouth, the throat. And then bringing your hands to heart center, and just taking a moment to tuck your chin towards your chest and give thanks for your health and your discipline and working on things that are challenging and potentially uncomfortable. Just noticing your own determination there. And when you're ready, seal in your practice. Thank you so much for practicing with me. I hope it's helpful. If you're dealing with some ankle stuff, just begin to incorporate this practice a few times per week, maybe 2 to start, maybe work your way up to 3 or 4 times per week. And over time, the more you balance, the more strength you'll create. The more you do that self-massage, the more you'll be able to relax the tension through the legs. And between the relaxation of the tension and the building of the muscle, you'll find a beautiful sense of literal balance in your body, and you'll hopefully feel so much better. So thank you so much for joining me. Let me know how it went for you down in the comment section below, and I'll see you next week. I post new videos every Tuesday here on the Yoga by Candice YouTube channel, and if you're looking for something a little bit more intense, you may want to check out the Yoga by Candice membership, and I'll put the link in the description box, where you'll have new videos every single month. You'll have a 60-minute video, a workout specifically designed for yogis, and a guided meditation. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you very soon here on the Yoga by Candice YouTube channel.